not just limited by being able to take the token and stake it, right? It's now become, it's a utility token, right?
This is an opportunity for people to be able to get in early on infrastructure that is powering the AI ecosystem.
The future of work is AI, and that turns AI into money.
Hey, we could actually incentivize using Web3 technologies, incentivize miners.
Welcome to another episode of the AI Frontier, the podcast where we talk about anything about AI. We make sure that people understand better what AI is all about, but we also deep dive with a couple of very special guests today. And today what we're going to talk about is how easy is it for people to start using AI. It's been incredibly hard to start using AI, seed phrases, strange ways to connect your wallet. You need to download the wallet. But we're here today to talk about how do we change this and how do we improve this. So first, let me introduce you to my co-host, Mark Rydon. Mark, welcome here today.
Thanks for having me. Another great day with some pretty incredible guests here. Excited to chat AI with these smart people.
100%. I really appreciate the guest list that we have today. Welcome, guys. Thank you very much. Let me do a quick rundown from left to right. So first we have Travis Good from Ambient. Hello. And then we have Sander from Evelyn AI. We're going to discuss about this because it's very interesting what you guys are doing. And then on my left is Chris from Miglino from DNA Fund. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. So before we kick it off, guys, I first want to talk to Mark a little bit because they made a little bit of a splash announcement yesterday. Mark, can you tell the audience a little bit about what you announced yesterday?
Yeah, pretty exciting. So the Aethir digital asset treasury company went live on NASDAQ. So we conducted around a $340 million pipe, bringing cash and in-kind investment into the treasury vehicle that now will operate not only as this kind of accumulating entity for the Aethir token, right? Yeah. But also as this functional player within the space, leveraging the GPUs that pretty much represent the Aethir token to do really, really cool things, whether it's taking those GPUs and renting them out to AI companies and generating revenue, or lending the token to a data center so it can onboard into our network. What's really cool about this Aethir DAT, right, is that it's not just holding the protocol token, right? It's not just limited by being able to take the token and stake it, right? It's now become it's a utility token, right? It's now become a player that can actually take and leverage GPUs and do really, really interesting things. And that's a pretty unique position to hold within the broader DAT ecosystem. And, I'd like to say we're very excited because we partnered with DNA Fund on this, and Chris was instrumental in getting this happening. They're actually the operator of the DAT. So it was a whole lot of work, but it's paid off, and this is just the beginning.
I was like, wow, this is like really an on-ramp for AI adoption and bringing it into mainstream audiences.
Yeah.
You wanna comment on it?
Yeah, no, if you think about it, it's like, how do you get early exposure to AI related companies, right? You can invest in NVIDIA, you can invest in, you can't even invest in OpenAI. Maybe you can invest in CoreWeave. But this is an opportunity for people to be able to get in early on infrastructure that is powering the AI ecosystem. And everything's been centralized to date, but now it's going to be decentralized, with Aethir, and having the ability for people to own a piece of that is a really good opportunity. So putting these things together is not easy. It's been a huge amount of work for us to get it done, but we got it done. And I think now it's going to be a great opportunity for investors to own a piece of that GPU infrastructure that's driving intelligence.
Yeah, and just tapping into that, if anyone's interested, the ticker on NASDAQ is POAI. So definitely suggest going and taking a look. This is what we call a strategic compute reserve. right? In the same way that if you're anticipating a form of global conflict, you might invest in energy, right? China has a strategic pork reserve, right? Because pork is so important to their economy. There is no global compute reserve. There's no strategic compute reserve. So we see this as a hedge against this massive AI race, right? And the resource powering that race, the scarce resource powering that race is GPUs. So this is exposure to the asset powering that conflict in many senses between the biggest companies in the world.
It's a really interesting angle how to look at this. I didn't think about it like this, but it's really interesting to see. And I think on behalf of Web3, we appreciate the work that you guys are putting in and the leadership that both DNA Fund and Aethir in this matter are showing. So I'm really stoked for it. Really looking forward to see where you guys take it and what the next step will be. And at the same time, I think this is the moment where we need to educate more people about AI. What is happening? How does it work? What is being built in this awesome space? And we're here to lift a little bit of that curtain to what is happening nowadays. So let me jump to one of our guests, like Travis Good from Ambient. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you.
Yeah. How are you enjoying Token so far?
Oh, I love Token. I love Singapore. There are just 1,000 different things going on. You never feel like you have enough time to hit all the interesting events, but every conversation I have has been really productive.
Yeah, really, I do appreciate that. There are 1,000+ side events this year, so Token is bigger and better than ever, I guess. Tell us a little bit more about what you are doing with Ambient.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ambient is based on the premise that the future of work is AI, and that turns AI into money, because we're all mobilizing agents in the future, and our ability to do that represents the value that we're creating in the world. But as you are keenly aware, in order to support that, we need to build infrastructure. And so Ambient is creating infrastructure to deliver high-scale machine intelligence that is ubiquitous, that's built on top of the hardware rails that everyone is putting in, matches the supply and demand, and is just available on tap, uncensored, permissionless, so that people can get work done and own that part of the AI economy.
One interesting statement that I read is that you said Ambient could be a replacement of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Yeah. So, Bitcoin kind of sees money as an expression of maybe electricity, right? We think that a more useful definition of values around that the nature of work, right? And Bitcoin secures itself using ASIC hash power, which is kind of a niche thing now. If we look at the world, the world is building huge infrastructure to support the execution of LLMs. And the question is, can we tap into that hash power in order to secure a network? And if we could do that, we would have much more hash power than Bitcoin ever would. And Ambient is designed in a way that its core algorithm leverages the execution of LLMs to secure the network. So those could be on GPUs, those could be on future hardware devices. But if your bet is that machine intelligence is going up, you should probably want to secure your network with machine intelligence.
Okay, thank you very much. One other statement that I read is that you actually believe and preach that it is vitally important to run the model on the chain.
Yes.
And on an app, and the user himself running it. Does this tie into the same hash rate discussion?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that crypto is all about decentralized economic coordination. And the question you should be asking yourself is, how come since 2017 have we not had a breakout crypto AI product? And I think that the reason for that is the economic incentives and coordination mechanism is fundamentally broken. So what happened is we had Ethereum switch to proof of stake, largely for environmental reasons. And that was a good and solid design and great for financial markets. But then everyone just copy pasted that design. And they sort of forgot about proof of work. They didn't really innovate on that very much. But proof of work was actually the best economic coordination mechanism for getting work done. If you want to accomplish things, then you want to reward the people who are accomplishing those things. If you look at proof of stake networks, they're rewarding their bag holders, the early investors, and they're not rewarding GPU miners, right? And it's very difficult for those networks to find the cash to offer those guys extra rewards without becoming hyperinflationary.
Yeah.
So that's a huge hurdle to overcome because GPU providers, as you know, have huge OPEX and CAPEX obligations. And so if they're not getting drip-fed inflationary rewards, they just want to peel off and do the thing that's more efficient. So if you look back, all the designs in crypto AI almost are focused on copy-paste proof of stake. So that's a huge hurdle. But then the other choice that networks have made, and this relates to the service delivery and harnessing that hash power that you have, is these networks have fragmented their hash power and their approach because they've said, we all believe in a marketplace of models. We're going to run like 4,000 models on our network. It's going to be great. You'll have infinite choice and freedom. And you just have to think about this from a crypto economics perspective. Like that is a miner's worst nightmare, is you have 4,000 things that you could possibly optimize on. You have huge switching costs because you want to be spinning your GPUs constantly. If you're downloading, someone requests the 100th model on your network, you're downloading a 600 gigabyte model, it takes you 20 minutes. You're loading that up, it takes 30 minutes to warm up your caches, and then maybe you're rendering 100 tokens for somebody. You've completely broken your economics. And yet, that is the predominant design since 2017. And so Ambient says, well, let's create a network that is purpose-built to deliver a very limited number of models at hyperscale and optimize everything on that so that we can compete with the open AIs of the world and we can marshal that hash power effectively. The way that we marshal the hash power is we give people the right incentivization via inflation-based rewards and transaction-based rewards. And we give them a game theoretically optimal delivery mechanism where they can focus entirely on delivering this service as best they can.
What are you seeing as some of the major challenges to bringing inference on chain? Because it's not as easy as just connecting the blockchain.
Yeah, so one of the major technical innovations that we've focused on, and it permeates the entire design of our network, is providing the verification for the computation. This is our proof of work. Typically this takes 10 to 100 times overhead to do securely. People have these ZK approaches. Much admiration. I don't think they're going to be anywhere near viable for about 10 years if you're trying to do that with LLMs. So that's typically been the challenge. And then you have, on the other end of it, approaches that are potentially much less secure. And neither of those feels good to people. And so we do, as one of our core proofs of work, this verified inference, which says, hey, I guarantee that we ran the model that you expected in the manner that you would expect the model to run it. It executes nominally, and we can prove that whatever you put into that via your prompt and your instructions was what the model executed on. So that's a part of that. And in order to do that, we work the verification via very efficient routing mechanism into the consensus itself, so that miners and validators are not completely overwhelmed by a verification workload. And that's a very challenging technical problem. It's challenging to implement the original piece, which is verification with low overhead, but you also have this network routing problem you have to account for. So it's a little bit of it.
How is it inflationary and how does that work?
So we have similar economics to Solana. So the economic basis for Solana is that the network becomes deflationary if there's a lot of activity on the network. And if you look at Solana, it's highly variable how many fees they're pulling in on any given day, right? And it's just because people are speculating. There's a lot of speculation some days, there's little speculation other days. And the economic premise of Ambient is that machine intelligence execution is a much better economic basis for fees on a network than speculation, because we just see that going parabolic in terms of the demand. And every time someone does inference on our network, fees are coming in to the network. And so if you have a high usage of machine intelligence, then you have a great revenue basis for your L1. And that's how we think of things.
Yeah. So you go ahead.
No, I was going to say I love it. I think it's fantastic, and to be honest, I think these for people that understand the space, these are some pretty big challenges that you guys are overcoming. Stuff that doesn't. There's no GitHub solution that you can go in and kind of copy paste. This is true innovation. So just my props to you for tackling such a big challenge. You spoke about also optimizing for a smaller number of models, right, on your protocol. Where do those models come from? Is that something that you guys are doing in-house, or are you pulling those models in from different places?
And how do you choose them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we want bang for your buck, the highest intelligence models for our big model category, which we call the Ambient model. And then we're also doing a latency optimized model called Ambient Mini. And so for the highest intelligence model, it's fairly straightforward. You look at what's winning in the benchmarks, and specifically we're focused on agentic capabilities, tool use, because that's what we want people to be able to support. So right now we're doing GLM 4.5, shortly to upgrade to GLM 4.6. For the very early days of our network, while the economy is forming, we will curate that essentially. But then we're going to turn it over to the community and let the miners vote on it, because the miners are ultimately the owners and operators of our network, and it's in their economic interest to pick the thing that everyone wants.
Fantastic. Well, maybe you can get a video model on the protocol soon.
Well said.
Yeah. We'd love to talk to people who have some interest. First of all, we want to make sure we can deliver our core experience, but we're definitely going to branch out.
How do the miners work on the platform?
And just so you know, he's asking this because they're one of the biggest miners on Aethir and Bittensor. So these guys are absolutely who you want coming in to work your system.
Yeah. So each miner is also a validator. So the more that you do in terms of the verified inference, the more likely you are to be, in Solana terms, to be a leader and a validator with a lot of votes. And much like Solana, you get rewards for all your validator like action. And the unique thing about Ambient is, we're not going to launch this on day one, but because we're doing a very limited number of models, first of all, you get that high utilization, which we think is key to the economics. But secondly, we want to support DeepSeek style fleet deployment models. DeepSeek average profitability of a model, if you're just like a solo operator, is in the 40 to 50% range for the prices that people are charging for tokens. But DeepSeek, with a fleet model where you have an expert that is dedicated to a set of GPUs, a node, and you're routing through those experts, they're doing 500% profitability. And so, if you're a decentralized network and you can deliver that kind of service, that's 10x better, for your miners. And so we want to work with a lot of our early miners. And asterisk here, testnet is coming in 2 weeks. So yeah, we should talk.
Direct some compute over there.
Yeah, we'd love it. A permissionless testnet. So, but up to a cap, because we might get oversubscribed here. We want to work with early miners to get those hyper efficient delivery mechanisms in place, because that's what we think unlocks the scale. Like if you can mobilize the correct economic model for GPU providers to coordinate, then you can finally compete with the OpenAIs of the world. They're not delivering 4,000 models. They're delivering this tiny model family. We can do the same thing. We just have to have the right software layer to match the supply and demand.
Love it.
Awesome innovation, very interesting. Also see the connections being made right here, so that's always good. Appreciate you explaining a little bit more. I do want to switch to Sander for Evelyn AI.
How are you?
How are you finding tokens so far?
Yeah, I love it. Many events, can't go to everything, but there's many a lot of informations and
Yeah.
enjoying it. I'm a Singaporean, so
That's easy.
I visit, living in the US, but
Yeah, it's sort of like a home game, right?
yeah, exactly.
And in terms of we chat a little bit before the pod recording, and in terms of like information flow, you guys are handling a lot of information flow. There is a TGE coming up, I heard, and there's a lot of moving pieces. But tell us a little bit more about Evelyn AI and what you guys do.
Yeah, Evelyn AI is set up to sort of solve a big problem in the Web2 world, where you have the big players like Runway and Picard. They are more centralized, right? They build their own cluster data center, and then you gotta get a lot of fundings for it and things like that. So the entry barrier is very high over there in Web2. So we say, hey, Evelyn is gonna come in and try to marry, video AI with the decentralized resources that we have. So we work with Aethir and because it's just too high entry barrier in Web2. So coming into Web3, we look at all this decentralized GPUs, and then we say, hey, we could actually incentivize using Web3 technologies, incentivize miners to provide a compute that we need to run our video generations, which solve a lot of problems that we are facing in Web2. So
yeah. And maybe to restate that a little bit, because I did do a lot of research to your product, because we're producing television shows as well. What you typically see is that there are a lot of creative creators out there with great ideas, but they don't have a budget necessary, because producing any type of video is very expensive. Gear, locations, actors, doesn't matter, right? And what I've seen with what Evelyn is doing is basically you take away all this burden of pre-investments. You can make sure that you run the AI models to generate basic content or more advanced content. How do you see creators adopting this type of technology?
I think two things here are very important for Evelyn is to achieve cost effectiveness and the fastest video generation in the world, right? So if you are generating a video and you are kind of exercising your creative juices and you're taking 20 minutes before the video comes out, it's like, oh, this is not what I want, and that's 20 minutes later, right? So it's like very, very frustrating for a lot of creators out there. I used to work at Meta, I know, because we help our advertisement creator to like generate good advertisement material. So I knew the frustration we had. So coming into Evelyn, setting up the company, our goal is to make the fastest video generation in the world, tapping into the decentralized GPUs resources, and then from there, allow creator to actually like, hey, in 16 seconds time, I can see what I want. I don't want this. Change the prompt, massage it, and get the desired results, right? And because it's so fast, we are the fastest video generation in the world, right? You can actually conceive, like you make little shots and put it together, and you could still do that within a few minutes. Instead of setting up all the, I'm looking at the camera gear here, like sound system, you just one text, one prompt, and then generate a video in 16 seconds. That's the idea behind it. And then a couple of other things is that we want to be very cost effective, right? You can be very fast, right? Let's say you use 10,000 GPUs. Of course, it can be fast, but that's going to cost you a bomb, right? So what you got to do is like, you got super cost effective, not just fast. And we are the most cost effective video generator in the world, we believe, right? We have 4 cents for a 5 seconds video. We're talking about profit margin, of 90% easily, right? If you're just charging user 25 cents per 5 seconds video. So that's why if you go on our website, you look at our product, our pricing is very, very well priced with very affordable solutions for creators. Yeah.
I saw that, and one of the things that there are a couple of like video generation tools out there, but to be honest, the quality isn't there, right? It's you put something in, you get something completely different out, and then iteration on iteration, it changes as well.
Yeah.
What I've seen from Evelyn is that you guys really have a top-notch quality. Yes. What is the secret behind that?
A few things, right? The secret recipe here is that, of course, the team is strong. We are all professors of AI. I have worked in video generation for what, 20 years. That's one, right? Not to self-boast myself. That's
Well,
one.
it is only 20 years.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
It's like 100 years in crypto, right?
So we know what works, what doesn't work, right? And then from there, we sort of like put this into fruition, into production stage with very meticulous engineering to bring this to the users. So so I think at the end of the day, what we have achieved here is Evelyn is the fastest video generator in the world, most cost effective, and very conducive for creation.
Yeah, and I think in the Web3 space, there is a huge market to cover, right?
Yeah.
Especially, for example, in the area of NFTs, we've seen these take flight, both from the branding perspective as in the IP perspective. Is that something that you'll be focusing on as well?
Yeah, so we are having a lot of partnerships, right? Like, with Pudgy and all the different things. And we have the technology to take the image of a person or, travelers and animate him doing things and stuff like that. So there's going to be a lot of such IPs that we can create for creators. You can imagine down the road, everybody's just using Evelyn to generate avatars that's animated and things like that. So
I think the great thing about both of these projects is they're taking really good and technically capable aspects of the crypto world, but they're delivering world-class AI products, right? From a Web2 perspective, right? Evelyn, as he said, fastest, most performative kind of video model on the planet at the moment. And I'm sure the work that Travis is doing that we'll all start to see as a result of testnet and then mainnet will be similarly impactful. So it's pretty crazy when you hear about the work that these guys are doing, not just from a Web3 kind of context, but just from the impact that they're having at the Web2 level.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about the self-improving aspects of Ambient. Haven't even gotten there yet, but
yeah, I mean, there's so much to kind of touch on. I mean, one thing that I love hearing about with Cernum is AI video. It's coming up more and more on our kind of Twitter feeds, right? But the content that you're seeing there is very much from these power users, right? These people that have the time and the energy, and I guarantee you they're video editors. They're at least casually professional in creating video content. They're not just some random dude who's like sitting there and just typed in a prompt once and now they've got this magical like 3 minute long video, right? Mm-hmm. There is a really, really big gap between the average person getting good experiences from video AI, right, and what we're seeing on our feeds. And that gap is largely driven by cost, but it's, more largely driven, in my opinion, by the speed of that inference, that rendering, right? So the more you can bring that down, not just will we see more generations and more utilization, right? But it also opens the door for a whole new avenue of business use cases, right? It's not just for the power user who wants to create a BMW commercial. Now it's for, fun stuff, for retail. Like you can really spin this. This is the gateway to all of the use cases that I think the vast majority of people are excited about for video AI.
It's really all about adoption, right? I think you touched on it as well. In my previous company, we used to do a lot of advertising, marketing commercials for big B2B companies. And we were like 5 years ago already using AI, but you needed to train somebody very specifically. It was very hard. The results were getting better and better and better. But I really think what you see here today, and speaking to you guys, amplifies that, is that all this technology is being broken down, simplified, made available for more and more consumers, and that will drive the adoption. And it's really interesting to see that we're not only building the models and the UI for people that would be working with this on a day-by-day basis, but we're also building the rails, we're building the infrastructure, we're building the payment walls, we're building the complete integration to really make this possible.
it needs to be seamless also for the consumer, right? Like if you look at the reason it all took off is you have ChatGPT. It's so easy for everybody to use, right? So everybody just goes to the page, types it in. Now it's like Mark said it, right? Like you were saying about the video, if you go in to create a video, it is not that easy to do, right? It's you still have to iterate. And at some point people are going to be like, give up on that. Like, you see something on the internet and you're like, oh, I'm going to create something funny like that. And then you go in to do it and you're like, oh, it's not as easy as I might think, And I think that once it's there, once it kind of has that chat GPT moment for all of these other services, then it's just going to accelerate. And it will get there, right? Like you'll be able to type in anything and create it. It's just a matter of time of all this happening, and then it's just going to accelerate quicker and quicker.
Yeah, and you see the adoption directly, right? Because I remember when ChatGPT hit, like the Google searches went down like 30% in like 2 weeks' time. Mm-hmm. So the impact is real, and the potential is there. But maybe to switch to you, Christopher, you see an awful lot of projects in crypto and AI, right?
Yes.
What would you say? Where are we at this moment in time?
With the AI side, I think it's at, you have two elements. You have kind of the private companies that are kind of this little club that are all together, right? And you have the NVIDIA and Oracle and Facebook and OpenAI, right? And then you have everybody else that's trying to make other stuff happen on top of that. And so I think that there's huge opportunity in this smaller space over here to even accelerate past what's happening over there. It's like it's set up ideally for decentralization. It doesn't need to be controlled by one individual. I think that people will find value in things being decentralized. And I think there's a lot of technologies that will be out there that will afford for the decentralization of intelligence. So we love projects that are doing that and finding that would be like Mark was saying, we're the largest validator on a network called Bittensor, which is the Tau token. And then we're the largest miner on some of the subnets inside that same ecosystem that is just decentralized compute, decentralized, everything inside this ecosystem. So, on the AI side, and this is why we were so interested in working with Aethir on their public company, because we do a lot of, our background is finance, our background is raising money, our background is venture capital and funds and things of the sort. So we thought this was a perfect place to start in, putting a public company together with Aethir and using our expertise to make that happen, because we think that there's this intelligence layer that people will want to participate in. People will want to get involved in it and have a piece of it. It's very difficult to participate, even from early stage. Like if you wanted to invest in these guys, like you can't do it yet. You have to wait till their token launches and wait until you can get involved, unless you're somebody like us that's a venture capitalist, and then you can get involved in their project. And then it's a little bit more, it's a more robust conversation than just, clicking on a button and buying it. So I think ultimately there'll be this shift where everything will be accessible like that for the regular consumer to participate in all of these things. So we envision a day when all of these investors, little, large, however they are, will be able to feed into this ecosystem and give them the benefit of their support from just voting with their dollars into what they're doing. So yes, and then we do see a lot of other stuff, right? Like it's interesting because like you get into this kind of stuff and it's like the most interesting thing in the world, and then all of a sudden somebody comes with like something else and you're like, oh yeah, we used to be into that. That used to be something that we were interested in last year, and now we're really interested in this because it's so fascinating, and it accelerated so quickly, and there's so much AI acceleration that's happening that you have to just focus on that. So we break it up within the company, within our fund. So some people are focused on, early stage stuff. Some people are focused on more public oriented stuff. Some people are focused on other kinds of projects. So that's the way that we cover it. But I love this piece. I love what's going on here. And I think that this affords for the best opportunity for capital appreciation in the next 10 years. So
what I love about what Chris has done and what the DNA guys have done is, yes, they're VCs, right? Yes, they're a fund, but they're also operators. They didn't look at this through the lens of, okay, we've got some capital, we're just gonna, deploy a bit of cash to Ambient, we're gonna deploy a bit of cash to Evelyn. They're like, no, I'm gonna buy a whole bunch of GPUs, invest heavily in that infrastructure, right? Which they own and operate themselves. And then they not only deploy cash, but they can also deploy GPUs. That's a massive competitive advantage that they have when dealing with AI companies, right? Because you know that you're going to give cash to an AI company. What are they going to spend that cash on? GPUs, right?
Yeah.
So
you can better buy it yourself, right?
You can come straight in.
We
That's a really
not
good
only
point.
in this stat we put $5 million into the public company, and we structured the whole thing, and we invested into the public company before it was there, and now we're putting $20 million worth of compute into the public company. So the public company now owns $20 million worth of compute, which will generate $30 million worth of revenue for the public company on an annualized basis. So you have this public company that was, has zero revenue, that, they are these kind of companies that do these things because they're in a certain type of position. We come in and we put, all this compute in that all of a sudden takes a company from doing zero revenue a year to doing $30 million a year in revenue day one. And it's like, that's a great base. It's a great base of revenue. And the same thing can happen over here, right? You can have everybody that's engaging with AI and wanting to participate can do the same thing. You just need the infrastructure behind it to make it happen. So, and being involved in the infrastructure of this, like, people always ask, like, oh, how do I learn how to trade stocks or how to trade this? And I was like, take like $10,000 or $5,000 or $1,000 and go start trading stocks and lose all of it. and then once you do that, then you're going to be much more cognizant about what it is, right? Or you're going to get really lucky and like buy Ethereum really low and it's going to go super high and you're going to be like, this is so easy, and then you'll lose it next time. But it's the same thing.
A lot of experience here.
but what you in owning the GPUs, right? Like, the reason we bought a company called Rizzo, which is the largest validator on Bittensor. We did that because we needed the expertise to engage in the mining process. And when you get the GPUs and you're like, okay, I got a bunch of GPUs, now what? What do you do with them? Where do you put them? How do you engage with them? You need that expertise to do it. When you have the expertise to engage in the community, and plus it gives you a lot more credibility with everybody, right? Because if I can go to Aethir and I got 1,000 GPUs, we have 1,000 GPUs on their network, they're like, okay, they get it. Like, they understand what's going on here. They're not just trying to hand me a check and hope it goes well, right? We're engaged in the process. We understand what they're doing. It gives you credibility in the community so that people know that you care, that you're engaged, and then, it's a cycle. Yeah. And you're an operator of that business, and AI has this root level of compute that everybody here needs. And so, anyways.
No, but this is the perfect example. What I love about the Web3 space, and also from the VC side and from the DNA fund side, is the level of involvement with the projects that are being invested in is much higher than I see in the Web2 space. And I think this just is doubling down on the technology that is being built. And I think that is like something that we don't see in a lot of other spaces, and we move really fast. It's also an investment into innovation, right?
Yes.
So would you say that innovation in the Web2 AI space is going faster or slower than innovation in the Web3 space?
I mean, I think it's all converging now. Like, I don't even know what Web 2 versus Web 3. I think everything has a Web 3 element to it because everybody's thinking about how to, if you look at traditional venture capital money, you'd have to go and get money from venture capitalists, beg, borrow and steal to get $1 million, right? You know how annoying that is? That is really annoying as a founder to go try to ask a bunch of people about this thing that is a dream. You're like, this is amazing. This is the best thing ever. And then you have to walk in and people are like, what are your biggest challenges? And like, yeah. And you're like, and so, but the Web3, what everybody sees as Web3, changes the way that those companies can get funded. Like you have Bittensor and things like Bittensor that you could just go build on top of Bittensor. People will pay you day one. You could start, you can have a subnet, go buy a subnet for 50 grand. So, okay, you need 50 grand. Then once you get a subnet, start building on top of it. Build the community, find the community that will engage with you. Start making money day one. You don't need to go do that. So is that Web 2, Web 3? I don't know. That's it's a incentive mechanism that changes the dynamic of how people need to raise capital in the space. So I don't know the difference between the two anymore.
I think to draw on Chris' point is that I think Web 2 and Web 3 should come together.
Yeah.
More than who's better.
Yeah.
For example, there's a lot of good things happening in the research. I mean, myself included. I'm Web 2 to be honest, and I do research there and things like that. But there's so much good things going on. And then can that be married to Web 3 in a way that it becomes accessible, right? And so I think the decentralized infrastructure that Web 3 brings allows that to happen. However, I would say, just my personal opinion.
Here we go.
I think that there's still a lot of devils in the details kind of thing, right? I'll just get a little technical here, right? Like when we do parallelizations to make our model run fast, you run into desynchronization issues. So if Web3 decentralized architecture could bring in this layer that takes care of this issue and not let's say I'm doing a video generation and it crashed and we go dig into it and it's like, oh, there was some GPUs that this miner A is using is slower than this GPU by 7 seconds and it exceeds the 5-second threshold. Everything just crashed. Can we build this with, lack of better words, this layer that takes care of this sort of details, and it will bring a lot of Web 2 very highly talented individuals into Web3 space? Because why not? They see that every day I'm trying to do research, I got to think about where do I get my GPU? Look, it's going to cost $20 an hour. I can't afford that, right? But once we take care of this and it's just seamless, right? There's no gas fees, and I'm really scared of losing my gas fees. I go up there, it's like, did I misspell a string? I don't know, right? Things like that, right? But you make everything just so easy, seamless for the Web 2 guys, they will come. And then I think that's where, there's an explosion of this synergy. And I think things will go for that.
I think it's really crucial to bring Web3 infrastructure into the forefront of the world's infrastructure and popular consciousness. A fun fact that I like to talk about is, my brother's a finance guy, ex-hedge fund guy, and he runs financial queries on Claude. And at the beginning of Claude, about 20% of the queries were refused because Claude doesn't want to talk about finance. I can't offer you investment advice, this sort of thing. We're up to about 60% now. And
I'm asking it the wrong question.
Yeah.
Crap, I should be speaking more to it in a financial tone.
And ChatGPT is changing its entire model on you if you say something that might indicate you're depressed. And that's actually changing the fundamental performance of the model. And so humanity is being bottlenecked on a very few number of providers and models that are essentially telling them what to think. And that's an extremely dangerous situation. So, one of the core things about Ambient is we built AI right into the consensus to make it as difficult as possible to disrupt. Because the correct execution, the provably fair execution of that model is baked into the system itself. And it's an economic core to it that makes it resistant to the kinds of interventions that you're seeing, where governments are leaning on companies and saying, hey, of course, you could let like free speech exist on X, but we'll fine you like 1% of your revenue per day. Like if you do that, this is the kind of the European approach right now, unfortunately. And so I think it's if we want to build infrastructure that can be used by everyone, that provides a basis for economic fairness, that is censorship resistant, that creates the broadest set of opportunities for people, we really need to bring some of those Web3 design principles out front.
I mean, there was the conversation happening in public recently about how reasoning models obviously cost more and more depending on the complexity of the question, right? If you ask a difficult question, it'll take more time to reason out a better answer, right? So from an OpenAI perspective, right, if you are considered less intelligent, right, why would they dedicate more resources to answering your questions, right? So you effectively get put in buckets by these LLM providers, right? And if you're considered by the model a less intelligent individual, you will not get access to as powerful a response, right? So they will actually restrict your ability to access machine intelligence based on how they've profiled your independent intelligence level.
Wow.
And that's not a moral conundrum for them, right? They're doing it from a cost of compute perspective.
Yeah.
But again, that doesn't align with what we think is good for humanity, right? I think we can all agree here that like restricting access to this kind of fantastic machine intelligence tool is kind of a bad look, just because it thinks that you're a dummy because you asked it like what color the sky was one time. You know what I mean? And you've got all of these really interesting kind of intersections between morally challenging moments and basic economic principles. And I think that the Web2 world is traditionally not a great place at answering that in favor of kind of humanity, right? It's much more shareholder adjacent, I think.
I think even if you take the frame of just counterparty risk, like let's say that we're all amoral, we put these moral considerations aside. I think they're hugely important. But let's say we shove all that to the side and you just talk about living in an agentic economy and managing counterparty risk. Like if OpenAI's economic incentives are to selectively dumb down their model, if they have advertiser and partnerships where they want to push certain products over other products because they're getting money from their affiliates, if all the model providers are conflicted, then economic agents in an agentic economy are actually acting against your financial interests. And you should be really concerned about that. And so what you should want is trustless infrastructure that provides credible neutrality, provably fair basis for repping you. This is an agentic supply chain that needs a trustless layer to exist. And I think that's going to be increasingly important to people as they understand how their financial circumstances can be manipulated. Like you look at simple examples, even in Web 2, like airline prices will change depending on what kind of computer you're using, right?
Yeah.
Like that, people are going to clue into that, but also like agents are going to clue into that. Like agents, like looking at raw performance, are going to notice like, OpenAI is kind of juking me. Like they're like much like high frequency traders, they're able to arb a bunch of stuff, and I keep coming out on the wrong side of this. And I think that's a great reason to use crypto.
I also think that it's like we're in this funnel of everything being more decentralized and controlled by a couple of like data sources or companies, and and it raises the dependency of people. If I look at my children, I'm not sure about you guys, but if I look at my children, when we were younger, we learned how to make a fire, and we learned how electricity works, and we learned how a computer works. What you see now is that they're just getting this information from ChatGPT, but how do we actually make sure that what they're being educated on is truthfully good for them, and helps them sustain for the longer term? And I think it's It's a really interesting conversation topic, and we can definitely go down the.
Oh, they're
the
definitely
rabbit hole.
using it. All my kids are using it all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah,
You know, first they're sitting there doing their homework on it, you know,
Yeah.
nonstop. And
yeah. For me, it's the first time that my sales managers actually give me reports of an event. It's on ChatGPT, so-
I mean, it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
incredible. It builds, you know, we do a lot of, we used to have analysts that would do all the reports on public companies. And now we just give all the information that we want to know about the public company. And all I have to do is go in, I have it all built out, and I say, here's the ticker symbol, give me this one. And within 2 minutes, I have like the whole entire report down to everything that I would want to know that would take somebody days to do. And I have it there, and then we can execute on it. You know, it's incredible.
Yeah, the efficiency is like mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing. So as we're coming closer to the end of this podcast, we do need to keep checking time a little bit. I do want to ask you, because this podcast is being made to give people better education about what is happening in AI, but also making sure that they understand and can start using it very easily. So I want you guys to all give me a tip, and the listeners a tip, about which AI tool are you guys using at this moment in time, or which one would you like to tell the audience about a little bit. Let's start first.
I've used, you know, all of them, and but the one that I like using the most right now, we pay the top amount of money for ChatGPT.
Means you're getting the smart model.
Yeah,
Apparently, if you're not on the $200 a month subscription, you're likely not to get the smartest version of.
We've tried
ChatGPT.
it. We've tried all of them with like kind of similar tasks, and that one's for what we need seems to work the best.
Okay.
But we're not creating videos. So I've tried to create videos, and I am very terrible at it. I have some really good jokes I would love to create videos out of. That would be really good, and I can't wait to get on your platform to try to do it. But
I think for me, like I'll give a geeky answer to you.
Yeah.
So I've been experimenting with different agents. I'm a very lazy person. I don't want to change my prompt to generate a video. I like the agent to do that. If the nodes I'm computing on crash, I want my agent to go out there and get a new node for me. So I've been experimenting with a lot of this agent code myself to see what is possible, because I believe the future is agents, essentially.
Yeah. Travis.
Well, I mean, selfishly, I believe in eating your own dog food, so I've been using a bunch of Ambient.
Like, that's the answer we're looking for.
So app.ambient.xyz, we'll be opening signups. We'll have API for everyone that's OpenAI compatible. We've got a deep research product, a chat product, and we're putting together a bunch of agentic tooling, because I think that one of the things that Web3 hasn't done very well is integrate economically motivated Web3 agents with the Web2 experience. Like, if you're running an agentic network on Web3, why not give Web2 people the benefit of that? They can show up in your client. It's like an actually correctly incentivized version of GPTs from OpenAI. Those things sort of just vanished because they were too cheap. They weren't paying people for developing these things. They weren't giving them a rev share. But hey, we're in crypto. We can actually be generous with these things and encourage the growth of these platforms. And so, one of the things that Ambient is focused on is building the integration of these two worlds and presenting that to people. At the moment, on Ambient, we're writing some interesting custom, first-party apps, incorporating like fine tunes, because we can run high-scale fine tunes on our network. Doing a lot of things to change the voice of LLMs and to focus LLMs on particular tasks that people will find economically useful. So.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, for me, I'm hyper curious about the AI space, particularly the application space, and getting in there and playing with things and trying things. And I think my biggest piece of feedback to anyone out there, more on the consumer side from an AI perspective, is keep being curious about these models, right? Keep trying things, because the gap between ChatGPT 4 and ChatGPT 5 is insane, right? Despite the fact that, some people were a little bit sad about the GPT 5 release, like, realistically, the difference between these two models from a capability perspective is absolutely nuts. And it's not just as simple as, you ask it to investigate a stock, right, on ChatGPT-4 and you get this answer, and then you ask it to investigate a stock on ChatGPT-5 and you get a better answer. It's not just that, right? It's about all of the capability, multimodally and everything as well within that, right? I still remember when ChatGPT couldn't handle a PDF. Right now, you can just throw anything into it. Right, it can export to PDFs. Right, my biggest, or at least one of the moments that I vividly remember was when the O3 model came out, and I saw a post about how someone uploaded a random photo of their surroundings and said, "Where do you think I am?" Right, and then because you could see the reasoning, right, you looked at the AI thinking. And it was zooming into corners. It was looking and saying, this is this type of tree. These types of trees only exist in this type of environment. It was like, this type of paint is only commonly used on streets in Japan. Like it was like watching a CSI episode, when they like pinch and zoom on someone's eyeball and they see a reflection. It was like that. And I was like, no one trained AI to do this, right? They didn't have this CSI lab expert going in there and saying, this is how you analyze photos. It's wild in that a more capable model is released, but we don't actually know what it does yet, right? Because that capability is only exposed by the questions that we ask it, right? So if you want to be on top of this space, even remotely, I'd recommend staying in touch, right? Trying it, being curious, and you will inevitably unearth just an incredible number of really, really interesting and exciting and personal use cases for these tools if you stay curious.
The level of excitement around AI is mind-blowing. Stay curious, don't accept the status quo. And I think with you guys here today, I really appreciate you guys giving us an insight about what you're building, how you're building it, what you're struggling with, and what the vision is long-term. Mark, I appreciate you being here as well. And for our listeners, make sure that you start following our audience and our speakers today. So again, from left to right, we have Mark Rydon, CSO from Aethir. We have Travis Good from Ambient. We have Sarah from Evelyn AI and Christopher from DNA Fund. My own name is Sander Görtjes. I'm from HELLO Labs, Killer Whales. I appreciate you guys being here. Make sure that you stay in tune, you follow us, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks with a new group of speakers, more exciting AI tools and projects that we'll be discussing and giving you guys an insight on. So I appreciate it. And any last words, guys? Anything you want to share?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Testnet coming soon. TGE coming soon, right? Follow their socials. You want to get involved.
Get his stock.
Yeah. Get onto POAI on NASDAQ.
Yes.
Check it out. Huge exposure there to the Strategic Compute Reserve. But yeah, thanks again for coming. What an all-star AI panel today.
100%. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.